Welcome to Alla Fedele cooking channel. My name's Fidel. I'm not a chef. I just like to cook. I cook a lot of easy recipes that you could pick up at the supermarket on the way home from work and be cooking and eating within an hour and 15 minutes. Simple ingredients and recipes from my mom, a lot of them. Growing up, when she grew up in Italy, there wasn't a lot of foods out there. Grew up during the war, yada yada yada, and they ate more simple down south. So a lot of her recipes, if you go on my look at the other recipes on my web site, they're very simple. A lot of pastas I make, some chicken, and I just started this whole thing, so I'll be putting a lot more recipes out there. So tonight I'm making short rib boneless over risotto. This risotto is just going to be plain flavored with beef broth and then some grated cheese and Parmesan, Pecorino Romano and Parmesan mixed together. So this takes about 2.5 hours to make. There's a couple steps. So what we're going to be doing is I rubbed the short rib. They come about together about this long, the short rib. I got the boneless ones. And so we're going to be dredging them in flour and putting them on the pan. I'm just going to brown them first, then take them out, and then I'm going to be putting in my vegetables, which are scallions, 2 scallions, 2 celeries chopped, 2 carrots sliced, and 1 onion, medium onion chopped. So I'll take out, when they're brown, take the fat out, put a little olive oil, saute this until they start to brown, but I don't want to brown the onions too much at all. So it's a little tricky, but then I will be throwing the beef broth, a bottle of Cabernet with tomato, half a can, 6-ounce can, like 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And that's it. Then we let it, put it in the oven and let it cook for 2.5 hours. So you'll see how it goes. I'll be showing you the steps. So we're going to start by dredging the short ribs and putting them in on the grill, on the pan, I'm sorry. I just gotta reset this so you can see. There you go. So, let me take it off the heat for a second. I'm gonna salt and pepper everything. Now I got these at Costco. You can get the ones with the bone in also. They didn't have any bone in when I was there. And I watched a couple of videos how other people make them. And some people like it without the bone, some people like it with the bone. So I decided to make it without the bone this time. And then there'll be another time when I make it with the bone. So I rubbed a little olive oil so that the flour sticks. And they'll be cooking in the oven at 350, 375 for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'll check and then I'll drop the temperature to 350. Okay. Now you want to brown these on all sides. And you don't want them touching each other. So if you have to make it in 2 batches, you can. A lot of people use a Dutch oven. I don't have a Dutch oven. I don't think you need to use a Dutch oven. Something like this is more than plenty to do it in. I think Dutch ovens are just like overpriced, heavy pot, if you ask me. But, okay. Do one more. So I picked up, there were 6 of these. I cleaned off the fat, some fat, and I cut them in half. So we're gonna let this cook for about 3 minutes each side. They start to brown, then I'll flip them, then I'll take these off, I'll put the next set in, and then we'll come back, take them out, and do the vegetables, and we'll put everything else back together. Okay, so now we browned on all sides. We'll put it aside. I'm going to wipe out the bottom. And I'm going to start the vegetables. I'm going to add some more oil. Move that over. Got some of this. Whatever comes up. I know that makes a little bit of good gravy on the bottom, but kind of gets dark. So I'm going to add some oil now. Got a 1/4 cup. And then I'm going to throw in shallots, 2 shallots, 2 carrots, 1 medium onion. We're going to cook this down. Then I'm going to add half a can of tomato paste. I'm going to add, run that around. I'm going to put 2 garlics pressed. I don't want to put the garlic now because I don't want it to brown. And then I'm going to put the meat back in. We're going to put the rosemary. I have rosemary and thyme. I tied it together. A lot of the time the rosemary will fall off, but at the end I can just take it out, just for flavoring. This should take about 15 minutes, 15-20. So I'll be back. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. You can see it's starting to brown on the bottom. The sugar's coming out of the onions, and it's starting to caramelize. So taking it off the fire because my stove is electric. Now I'm going to put garlic, 2 cloves, pressed garlic or chopped as small as you can. I just do this. I press it, and that's it. Very easy to do. I'm going to spin this in here a little bit. Then I'm going to add a little bit of the broth to lift off the bottom, any of the flavoring that's down there too. So I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons of, probably half this, 3 ounces. This is a 6-ounce can, so say half. I'm just going to spin it in here, get it going, get the flavor going in it, out. This is going to give you a lot of depth into the sauce. And as I was saying before in the beginning, a lot of these recipes are easy, you're done in an hour. I lied. This one here, well, it's about 3 hours to do. This is going to be about a half hour or so to do this. This would be more on the weekend type of thing, or if you have time, you know. I would say this is great on a cold, winter, cloudy Sunday. If you know what the weather's going to be, pick up everything the day before and make it on Sunday or Saturday. I work Saturday, so to me it's just another day. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of the broth. So I have in here about 2 quarts. I don't want to put too much because once I put the meat in, I want to not go past the top of the meat. So I'm going to be adding the wine. So it's more important to me that there's more wine than the broth going. And this beef broth I made myself. It's a product called Better Than Bouillon. It's soft. And I like it better than those square cubes. And 1 teaspoon equals 1 cube. If you're used to using like chicken bouillon or beef bouillon or vegetable bouillon, some people would use vegetable broth in here. I'm using beef because it's got a lot of depth to it. I love the flavor of it. Okay. So now I'm going to add the thyme. I'm going to give that a spin. It's starting to boil. I have the oven going, 375. I'm going to cook it for about 2 hours and then drop it to 350. After about an hour and 15 minutes, I'll set a timer. I'll flip the meat, so it cooks evenly on both sides with the flavors. Okay, so the meat I'm going to be putting flat on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to use my hands. Try to get the meat to the bottom if you can. Move it around later again. One more. Move this to the side here like that. Squeeze it in there. Okay. Take the rest of this juice, pour it on top. It's flavor. Everything will get cooked. 1 second. All right, and now we're going to put the wine in. So you want the top of the meat to be sticking out. You don't want to be boiling this. I'm just moving it back and forth so that the wine can get in there. Now you said, why didn't you pour that before you put the meat in? Because if you notice, I only used about a half a bottle. Let this cook down maybe a little and check it, but there's a lot of meat here. I'm going to put a top on it, put it in the oven, and come back. In an hour and a half, flip it and see where we're at. The rosemary down there. Try not to leave any vegetable pieces sticking out. Okay, so I moved the meat around just to make sure that the wine got in there. I put the top on, I put it in the oven at 375 for an hour and 20 minutes. Then I'll take it out and I'll flip it just so that juice get on the top. Well, the top will be on the bottom then, because remember, you don't want to boil the meat, you want to braise it. So you don't want to go with juices past the top of it. So I will be back in an hour and 20, flip it, put it back in. We'll go another hour and 20 minutes, then we'll check it with a fork. If it doesn't fall apart and it's still a little tough, then it needs to go in maybe another half hour or so. You know, meat, sometimes different. I mean, I'm usually pretty good with meat from Costco, never had an issue, but it is boneless. I've made it with the bone, and this is boneless. So this might not need as much time as the one with the bone in. I'm gonna be making another one with the bone in. I have this idea about doing it with either a cherry cola or cola. I might do an experiment, but I have this idea of doing it with like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Whoever's gonna pay me $1 million to do it, sponsor, no, just kidding. But I want to try something like that. I have an idea. And again, it's Alla Fedele, so that's what that means. It's basically trying things my way, twisting it, and you can do the same. You know, I've watched a couple of these videos. This is not my recipe, but I've seen where they put a beer, Guinness in it, and instead of the beef broth, Guinness and wine, Cabernet. So that's the beauty of cooking. See you soon. Okay, it's an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to take it out now, and I'm going to look at it. I took the top off just to check, and it looks like might not have to flip it. Yeah, I'm gonna flip it because it's right on the top. So I'm just gonna flip it, put them back in. You move this to another spot, get flavor. This time I'm going to put it back, no cover. And I'm going to put it in for another hour and 20 minutes. And do it at 350. Okay, see you in an hour and 20 minutes. Okay. So an hour and 20 minutes went by. I checked the piece when I took a piece and just grabbed it and kind of broke it a little. So it tells me it's ready. So I put all the meat in here. I'm going to skim the top off. Take all the oil, fat rosemary. And I made risotto. You'll be able to put some of the risotto on the bottom. I'm going to make a video on the risotto another time. You take the gravy with some of the carrots. And the flour that we floured the ribs with made it thicker. And there you go. Short ribs braised in Cabernet. Let's see, can I get this? Thank you for watching. Alla Fedele, and please subscribe. And then there's a little arrow on your right. It's like a V. If you click on that, you'll get the recipe for all my recipes of foods that I cook. Please subscribe, and I'll see you soon with another recipe. Thank you for watching.